Hello students, I am Dr. Ashish Kumar Suri. Welcome to revision summary part 7 of unit 8 of management. In this topic, we will start a very important part of unit 8 which is operations research. Operations research. It's a very lengthy topic students, so we will cover this topic in different parts, and in today's session we will take transportation problem. You can, from overall operation research, you can expect 2 to 3 questions in your examination. So from transportation you can expect 1 question and the expected mark will be 1. The difficulty level will range from moderate to difficult. Now operation research is basically problem solving techniques for executive management. It provides a quantitative technique or a scientific approach to the executives for making better decisions for operation under their control. It provides a scientific approach to problem solving for executive management. So operation research techniques are basically problem solving techniques or scientific approach to solve a problem for executive management. There are various techniques in operation research. One of the technique is transportation problem. Now, transportation problem is a special case of linear programming problem, that is LPP, linear programming problem. Although linear programming problem is not there in our course, but you need to remember, it is very important that transportation problem is a special case of linear programming problem. LPP is again a very important technique of operation research. Here the objective function is of minimization type. In transportation problem, the objective function, or we can say that the objective of transportation problem is to minimize transportation cost. So the objective function in transportation problem is always of minimization type. In linear programming problem, we have an objective function. That objective function may be of maximization type, or may be of minimization type. Now, transportation problem, as it is a special case of linear programming problem, here the objective function is always of minimization type. Remember this, it is important. In its most general form, a transportation problem has a number of origins and number of destinations. I will show you a transportation model in the later PPT. So it has various origins. Origins means the places from where we are transporting, and destination means the places where we are transporting some goods or materials. Okay. A certain quantity of commodity is produced or manufactured at each origin. So what we are doing at origin, we are producing a particular good or a commodity. Okay. Having a certain supply, every origin will have a certain supply which depends on the capacity of the origin, and these goods or commodities is to be transported to the destinations, each having a certain requirement and demand. So each origin has a certain supply, a fixed supply or a capacity, whereas each destination means a place where we are transporting the goods is having a fixed requirement or a demand. So the demand or requirement of each destination is fixed, whereas the supply or the capacity of each origin is fixed. The objective of the problem is to meet destination requirement with supply from the origin so that transportation costs are minimal. So what we need to do, we have to supply the commodities or goods from various origins to various destinations so that the demand of each destination is fulfilled and the supply of each origin will be exhausted, and we need to do in an order so that the transportation cost will be minimum. That's why the objective function here is always of minimization type. Now, a transportation problem can either be balanced or unbalanced. Remember, it is important. A transportation problem can either be balanced or unbalanced. A transportation problem is said to be balanced when the quantity of goods produced at all the origins is equal to the total requirement of all the destinations. This means if we will add the supply of all the origins and if we will add the demand of all the destinations, then if this total supply is equal to total demand, then we say that the transportation problem is of balance type. But if these two are not equal, either the supply exceeds the demand or the demand exceeds the supply, then we will say that the transportation problem is unbalanced. Okay, remember this, it is important. So this is a general transportation model. Here we are having factories from where we are supplying or producing the goods. Okay, so at factories we are supplying or producing the goods. Okay, and each factory is having a supply of fixed quantity, say S1, S2 and S3. Now these are the destinations where we are transporting goods from the source or the factory. So each destination is having a fixed demand, say D1, D2, D3, D4. Okay, here I have shown 3 factories and 4 destinations or warehouses. There could be many number of factories and many number of warehouses, right? Now if S1 plus S2 plus S3, that means the total supply is equal to total demand, say D1, D2, D3 and D4, sum of all these, then we will say that the transportation problem is of balance type. But if sum of the supply, that is summation S, and sum of the demand, that means summation D, if these two quantities are not equal, say if summation S is greater than summation D or summation S is less than summation D, then we will say that the transportation problem is of unbalanced type. Now if we will convert this model in a tabular format, so we will get a table like this. This is a general transportation table. Here S1, S2 up to SM, these are M sources from where we are supplying the goods, and D1, D2 up to Dn are N destinations, means the points, the places where we are supplying the goods from these sources. The capacity or the supply of each source is given to us, and the demand or the requirement of each destination is given to us. So here if summation S equals to summation D, the transportation problem is of balance type. Here C11, C12, the quantities which are there in these boxes, these represents what? Unit transportation cost. This means that if we will supply 1 unit from source S1 to destination D1, then the cost of unit transportation will be C11. मतलब कि एक यूनिट को S1 से D1 तक ट्रांसपोर्ट करने का जो कॉस्ट है वो C11 है, and so on C12 up to Cn. So all these quantities written in the boxes shows the unit transportation cost. The quantity written here X11, this shows what? The number of units which we are transporting from source S1 to destination D1. Similarly from source S1 to destination D2, X12. So these values, X values, are what? The quantities which we are transporting from one source to one destination. So the total transportation cost of from source 1 to destination D1 will be X11 multiplied by C11. X11 C11. Similarly, the total transportation cost of to all the destinations from source 1 will be what? X12 C12 and so on, X1n C1n. Okay. Now if we will add all these values, so we will take summation Xij Cij. Okay. So this will be the this will be the total transportation cost from source 1 to all the destinations. Similarly, we can calculate the total transportation cost from each source to each destination, to all the destinations, and then the total transportation cost will be summation of all these summation values. Summation of all these summation values. We will find out this summation value for each row, and then we will add all these summation values. So the total transportation cost will be summation of xij cij. Okay, this is what the total transportation cost. Say let it be z, and we need to minimize. So this is what the objective function in case of transportation problem. So this is how the objective function is minimize z summation of cij xij. Now, in an unbalanced problem, if a transportation problem is unbalanced, this means that the total supply and total demand are not equal, then a dummy warehouse is added if production capacity is more than the requirement. Okay, now look at this table. If production capacity, that means the supply, total supply exceeds total demand. If total supply exceeds total demand, then what we will do? We will add one column here. Okay, we will add one dummy warehouse. So we will add one more column here. Okay, and the demand or the requirement of that column will be what? Difference between summation S and summation D, so that the total supply and total demand will become equal. Now, in case if total demand exceeds total supply, then what we will do? A dummy origin added if production capacity is less than the requirement. Now, if summation D, that is the demand, total demand is greater than total supply. Okay, so now in this case what we will do? We will add a dummy source here. Okay, so that the supply of that source will be the difference of summation D and summation S. Okay. Now these are the supply constraint, that total supply is what? Sum of all these values, and these are the demand constraint. The total demand is sum of all the quantities which we are transporting from various sources to various destination. So here xij represent the number of units shipped from origin I to destination j, cij represent the unit transportation cost, si represent the supply available at ith origin, and dj represents the quantity demanded at the jth destination. Okay. Now, a transportation problem needs to be solved so that we will find out how many units we need to transport from a source to a particular destination. Now, a transportation problem is solved in two steps. We have a two-step solution of transportation problem. In the first step, we find out initial feasible solution. In the first step, we find out initial feasible solution. Now, there are various methods to find out this initial feasible solution. These methods are northwest corner rule or method, least cost method, this is also called minimum cost method, and Vogel's approximation method. Now, what are the process of these three methods? In NWCR or northwest corner method, NWCM, the allocation of products start at the northwest corner or the top corner of the transportation problem. So, for example, if you look at this table, this box is the northwest corner of this transportation table. So, in northwest corner rule, we always start allocation from this particular box. Okay. In least cost method, we identify the box having the least cost. Okay. In least cost method, we identify the box with least cost. Now, what are the cost? The cost are given in these boxes. So, out of all these cost values, we will identify the least cost and we will allocate in that particular cell. Okay. Now Vogel's approximation, this is the best method among all these three. So remember, Vogel's approximation is the most preferred method over the above two methods. Okay, as it usually results in an optimal or near to optimal solution. Remember, the solutions which we are obtaining from the initial solution methods may or may not be optimal, but the solution obtained from Vogel's approximation method is near to optimal, or it may be an optimal solution. Now in Vogel's approximation method, we calculate penalty for each row and each column of the transportation table. How to calculate these penalties? These penalties are the difference between the least cost and the next least cost of the row column. Row or column with the highest penalty is then selected and then transportation is made in that particular cell. Now, a solution is said to be feasible if the number of occupied cells in the solution is m plus n minus 1, where m is the number of origin and n is the number of destination. This is very important. Now, what does it mean? When we are obtaining an initial solution in the transportation problem, then after obtaining the solution, we need to check the number of allocations. This means in how many cells we have allocated the unit. Now this allocation, okay, the total number of cells in which we have allocated the units must always be equal to m plus n minus 1, where m is the number of rows in the transportation table, n is the number of column. Okay. So say for example, a transportation table is having 4 rows and 3 columns. So 4 plus 3, 7 minus 1, that is 6. This means that when we have find out an initial solution, now the total number of cells in which we have allocated the units must be equal to exactly 6, not less or not more than 6. So after obtaining an initial solution, we need to check the number of boxes or number of cells in which we have made the allocation. If it is equal to m plus n minus 1, then only the solution is feasible. Otherwise, the solution is said to be infeasible. Now, how to remove this infeasibility, or it is also known as degeneracy? If the number of allocation is not equal to m plus n minus 1, then this is the case of degeneracy. Okay. Now, if the degeneracy occurs at the initial stage, means we have find out an initial solution by any of the 3 methods that we have discussed and we found a degeneracy, then what we will do? An artificial quantity denoted by a Greek letter epsilon. This quantity is what? A Greek letter known as epsilon. Okay, it is added in one or more of the unoccupied cells so that number of occupied cells is m plus n minus 1. So for example, in this case, the number of allocations should be 6, but after obtaining an initial solution, we found only 5 allocations. So what is the difference here? 6 minus 1, 6 minus 5, that is 1. So we will allocate this quantity to only one unoccupied cell, so that the number of occupied cells now will become 5 plus 1 equals to 6. Now, degeneracy may also occur at the final solution or the optimal solution stage. Okay. Then it is resolved by allocating epsilon to one or more of the recently vacated cells so that number of occupied cells is m plus n minus 1. So in the initial solution stage, there is no degeneracy. The number of allocations are exactly equals to m plus n minus 1. But now when we are checking the optimality of the solution, then degeneracy may occur. So how it will occur? It may occur because one or more than one of the occupied cells may become vacant now or unoccupied. So we will add the epsilon quantity to one or more of the recently vacated cells. Okay. Now this quantity E, remember, is near to 0, is approximately equals to 0. Okay, so that it will not affect the total units transported. So the value of E is extremely small, it approaches to 0. Now there are two methods to obtain the final solution. The first is stepping stone method. Okay, in this method we consider the unoccupied cells. After obtaining the initial solutions, some cells will be occupied and some will be unoccupied. So we will consider unoccupied cells and check for the possibility of improving the solution. Now we will check whether we can improve the initial solution or not. How we will check? We will find out a closed loop for each unoccupied cell, and we will check whether an allocation in the unoccupied cell will reduce the total transportation cost obtained in the feasible solution or not. Now, why the name stepping stone? This method describes the unused cell as water and used cell, that is occupied cell. So the unoccupied or the unused cell are treated as water, while the occupied cells are treated as stones, and the transportation refers to walking on a path of stones half submerged in water. What we will do? We will start with the unoccupied cell or the water cell, and we need to obtain a closed path in such a way that now we can jump only to an occupied cell. Once we have identified an unoccupied cell, now we need to jump only to an occupied cell, and we again need to come back to the unoccupied cell. So we need to draw a closed loop. We need to trace a closed loop for this unoccupied cell. Hence the name is stepping. We are stepping, okay, only to the occupied cells which we have referred as stones. So the name is given stepping stone method. So select an unoccupied cell where a shipment should be made. Trace a closed path using the most direct route through at least 3 occupied cells used in the solution. So remember, in the closed path at least there should be 3 occupied cells, and then back to the original unoccupied cell, and moving with only horizontal and vertical move. We can move only horizontally and vertically. We cannot move diagonally or any other zigzag manner. Further, since only the cell at the turning points are considered to be on the closed path, both unoccupied and occupied boxes may be skipped over. We can skip even the unoccupied cell and occupied cell also. We just need to find out a path in which we are starting from an unoccupied cell and then we are jumping only to occupied cell. In this way, these are occupied cell and we are coming back to the original. So this is what? This is the closed path where this cell is unoccupied, where all the rest of the cells are occupied cell. Only this cell is unoccupied. So at least there should be 3 occupied cell in the closed path. It may be more than that also, and we can only move either horizontally or vertically. We cannot move in this way. Okay. Compute the net change in the cost. Now, after finding out this closed path, we will find out whether the allocation in this unoccupied cell will increase or decrease the cost. If the net cost change is positive, it means it will increase the cost and we need to minimize the transportation problem. So in case net cost change is positive, we will reject this cell. But if the net cost change is negative, then we will make an allocation in this unoccupied cell. So we will continue this method until all unoccupied cells will have a positive net cost change. All unoccupied cells will have a positive net cost change. Okay. Check the sign of each of the net changes. If all the net changes computed are greater than or equal to 0, an optimal solution has been reached. So if the net cost change is either 0 or positive, so the solution that we have reached is optimal. If not, if the net cost change is negative, then it is possible to improve the current solution and decrease the shipping cost. So we will repeat the method until all the unoccupied cells will have a 0 or positive net cost change. The next method is modified distribution method. Okay, this method is better than stepping stone method because the process is less lengthier in this case. The Modi method avoids the use of extensive scanning and reduce the number of steps required in the evaluation of the empty cells. This method gives a straightforward computational scheme whereby we can determine the opportunity cost of each of the empty cell. So how we do it? We assign a number ui to each row. To every row we assign a number ui. So for first row it will be u1, for second row it will be u2, and so on. And we assign a number vj to the column. So for first column it will be v1, for second column it will be v2. And then opportunity cost is calculated for each unoccupied cell. Then after doing this, we will find out the opportunity cost of each unoccupied cell. If the sign of each opportunity cost is positive or 0, the given solution is optimal. If it is not 0, then we will repeat the process until we will get a 0 or positive opportunity cost for each unoccupied cell. So here we only trace a closed path for the cell that has a negative opportunity cost. Okay. So, but in previous stepping stone method, we were finding out closed path for each unoccupied cell. Here what we are doing? First we are calculating the opportunity cost. If we found a negative opportunity cost, then only we will trace the closed path. So this method is simpler as compared to stepping stone method. Okay. Now we will look at some examples. Which of the following is not a method to find initial solution of a transportation problem? So northwest corner rule is a method, initial solution method. Vogel's approximation is again an initial solution method. Stepping stone method is not an initial solution method. So this is the right option. Least cost is again an initial solution method. In which of the following method a penalty is calculated for each row and column? So we know that in Vogel's approximation method we calculate penalty for each row and each column. Which of the following statements are true? In stepping stone method, a closed path is traced for all unoccupied cells. This statement is true. We have just seen that in stepping stone method, we trace a closed path for each unoccupied cell. A solution is said to be feasible if the number of occupied cells in the solution is m plus n minus 1. This is again true. In least cost method, cell with least transportation cost is identified and allocation is made in that cell. This statement is again true. The transportation problem is a special case of assignment problem. Wrong. The transportation problem is a special case of linear programming problem and not assignment problem. So statement D is wrong. So the true statements are A, B and C. A, B and C are there in code 1. So this is the right option. So students, if you are preparing for IIT, JEM, CSIR, NET and NTPC NET, then you can buy study material from Edunkle. It will definitely help you to crack your examination. You can also download the app of Edunkle from your Google Play Store. In this app, you will find a support of more than 250 trained faculties who will help you to solve your queries and to help you to crack your examination. Thank you very much.